Thanks for tuning in. 1967 was one of the golden years when raw, unadulterated muscle cars were manufactured. These vehicles embody a no-nonsense approach to speed and power, prioritizing acceleration and top-end speed. In this episode, we will discuss the 14 fastest quarter-mile muscle cars from 1967. Stay tuned and be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel as we get into the countdown. Number 14. Chevy Camaro Z28, 14.9 seconds. The 1967 Camaro Z28 was built to participate in the Sports Car Club of America Trans Am Racing Series and as an answer to the Ford Mustang, which was ruling the races at that time. The manufacturing project started in late 1966 when Vince Piggins, Chevy's product promotion engineering manager, proposed the idea. It was initially kept under wraps as GM had an official ban on factory-supported racing at the time. The 67 Camaro Z28 came equipped with a 302 cubic inch V8 rated at 290 horsepower and 290 pound-feet of torque, though gearheads claim the actual output was closer to 400 horsepower. Chevy combined the 4-inch bore of their 327 engine with the 3-inch stroke of their 283 to meet the Trans Am Series 305 cubic inch displacement limit. It featured a solid lifter camshaft, an 11:1 compression ratio, and a Holley 4-barrel carburetor. The 302 was mated to a 4-speed manual transmission that enabled the car to go down the quarter mile in 14.9 seconds. Number 13. Chevy Malibu SS, 14.9 seconds. The 1967 Chevy Malibu SS 396 was part of the Chevelle lineup and a high-performance street car that represented Chevrolet's entry in the mid-size muscle car segment. Chevy aimed to offer big block power to compete with cars like the Pontiac GTO and Ford Fairlane GT. For this reason, it was equipped with a 396 V8 that produced 375 horsepower and 410 pound-feet of torque. The engine featured a 4-barrel carburetor and an 11:1 compression ratio. It was mated to a 4-speed manual transmission that helped the car to run the quarter mile in 14.9 seconds. Number 12. Buick GS, 14.7 seconds. The 1967 Buick Grand Sport 400 was part of the Skylark line and represented Buick's approach to the high-performance, luxurious mid-size car segment. The GS line was first introduced in 1965 as a performance car, but by 1967, Buick intended to build a more powerful yet refined vehicle. Therefore, it was equipped with a Wildcat 400 cubic inch V8 engine, replacing the previous 401 that had been marketed as a 400. This powerful engine produced 340 horsepower and 440 pound-feet of torque. It also featured a 4-barrel carburetor and 10.25:1 compression ratio. The car's engine was mated to a 4-speed manual transmission, which helped it finish the quarter mile in 14.7 seconds. Number 11. Plymouth Barracuda Formula S, 14.53 seconds. 1967 marked a significant evolution in the Barracuda lineup, introducing a more powerful engine and completely redesigning the fastback, notchback, and convertible body styles. The Formula S package had a 383 V8 producing 280 horsepower and 400 pound-feet of torque. The engine featured a 4-barrel carburetor and a 10:1 compression ratio. Despite its power, it had to be shoehorned into the small engine bay, resulting in the omission of power steering and air conditioning. The 383 was mated to a 4-speed manual transmission that helped the car run the quarter mile in 14.53 seconds. Number 10. Dodge Coronet RT 440, 14.53 seconds. The 1967 Dodge Coronet RT 440 was Dodge's entry into the high-performance mid-size muscle car market, where the Coronet was the first Dodge model to wear the RT badge. The RT designation stood for road and track, emphasizing the car's dual-purpose nature as both a street performer and a potential race car. Dodge aimed to rival other established muscle cars of that time, like the Pontiac GTO and Chevelle SS, with its newly designed Coronet RT. The 67 Coronet came with a 440 Magnum V8, which produced 375 horsepower and 480 pound-feet of torque. This 440 Magnum featured a 4-barrel carburetor, a 10:1 compression ratio, and a dual exhaust system that enabled optimal breathing during the race. It was mated to a 3-speed automatic transmission that enabled the Coronet to run the quarter mile in 14.53 seconds. Number 9. Chevy Camaro SS, 14.5 seconds. Chevy built the 1967 Camaro SS 396 under the codename Panther, meaning it was a high-performance offering in its first year and rivaled the Mustang. The 67 Chevy Camaro SS 396 featured a 396 cubic inch V8 engine that produced 375 horsepower and 415 pound-feet of torque. It had a 4-barrel carburetor, 11:1 compression ratio, and a solid lifter camshaft. The engine was mated to a 3-speed manual transmission that helped the Camaro run the quarter mile in 14.5 seconds. Number 8. Pontiac Firebird Ram Air 400 14 seconds. The 1967 Pontiac Firebird Ram Air 400 was introduced on February 23, 1967 to compete with the Ford Mustang and Chevy Camaro as the top performance option for the Firebird. Although it shared the same F-body platform with the Camaro, Pontiac's engineers, under the leadership of John DeLorean, worked to give the Firebird its own distinct character. Some of the unique features in this car were a split front grille and the slit tail lights. The Ram Air 400 variant was equipped with a 400 cubic inch V8 engine producing 325 horsepower and 410 pound-feet of torque. The engine featured a 4-barrel carburetor, a 10.75:1 compression ratio, a Ram Air induction system, and a high-performance camshaft. It was mated to a 3-speed manual transmission that enabled the Ram Air 400 to run the quarter mile in 14 seconds flat. Number 7. Oldsmobile 442W30 13.92 seconds. The 1967 Oldsmobile 442 was a high-performance variant of the Cutlass model. The 442 designation originally stood for the 4-barrel carburetor, 4-speed manual transmission, and 2 exhaust pipes, though by 1967, it had become more of a marketing name than a literal description. Olds aimed to compete with the Pontiac GTO, so its performance-minded engineers offered the 442W30 package with a 400 cubic inch V8 engine rated at 350 horsepower with 440 pound-feet of torque. The package boasted a hotter camshaft, stronger valve springs, higher oil pressure, a cold air induction system, and a 10.5:1 compression ratio. The engine was mated to a 4-speed manual transmission that helped it to sprint and finish the quarter mile in 13.92 seconds. Number 6. Dodge Coronet 500, 13.9 seconds. The Coronet name had been around since 1949, but in 1967, Dodge was focused on revitalizing the brand with a high-performance model that would rival the Mustang Camaro and Firebird. The Coronet 500 was equipped with the 426 Hemi rated at 425 horsepower with 490 pound-feet of torque. The Hemi was mated to a 4-speed manual transmission that enabled it to run the quarter mile in 13.9 seconds. Are you ready for our top 5 fastest quarter-mile cars of 1967? Be sure to like and subscribe to our channel, which really helps us create more automotive content. Number 5. Shelby Mustang GT 500, 13.6 seconds. The 1967 Shelby Mustang GT 500 was born out of the collaboration between Ford and legendary car designer Carroll Shelby. The collaboration had started earlier in 1965, resulting in the Shelby GT 350, a car that gained immense popularity for its racing pedigree and street performance. By 1967, Shelby aimed to build on this success with an even more powerful version, the GT 500, which would cater to drivers looking for more muscle and performance than the GT 350 offered. The 67 Mustang GT 500 came equipped with a 428 V8, rated at 355 horsepower and 420 pound-feet of torque. However, these figures were considered conservative, with real-world performance suggesting the engine produced closer to 400 horsepower. The 428 featured dual Holley 600 CFM carburetors, a cast-iron intake manifold, and high-performance cylinder heads. It was then mated to a 4-speed manual transmission that enabled the car to finish the quarter mile in just 13.6 seconds. Number 4. Plymouth Hemi GTX 13.5 seconds. The 1967 Plymouth Hemi GTX, often referred to as the gentleman's muscle car, blended luxury with raw power that was enough to rival the Chevelle SS, Ford Fairlane GT, and Pontiac GTO. Under its hood was the 426 Hemi engine that produced 425 horsepower and 490 pound-feet of torque. The Hemi engine was mated to a 4-speed manual transmission that enabled the car to run the quarter mile in 13.5 seconds. Number 3. Pontiac GTO 400 Ram Air, 13.37 seconds. The 1967 Pontiac GTO 400 Ram Air was the brainchild of Pontiac engineers led by John DeLorean, who was the Pontiac division head at the time. These engineers introduced a 4-barrel 400 cubic inch V8 in this 67 GTO, phasing out the 389 V8 used in previous years with a single 4-barrel or 3 2-barrels known as tri-power. The 400 V8 produced 360 horsepower and 438 pound-feet of torque, although gearheads discovered the power was underrated. It also featured a 10.75 to 1 compression ratio, a specialized camshaft, and free-flowing exhaust manifolds. The engine was mated to a 4-speed manual transmission that helped the car run the quarter mile in 13.37 seconds. Number 2. Yenko Super Camaro, 12.59 seconds. The 1967 Yenko Super Camaro was created by Don Yenko, a renowned Chevy dealer and racer. Yenko transformed an already potent Camaro into a street and track beast capable of rivaling the top Mustangs. He specially ordered Camaros and swapped the 396 V8 with the 427 L72 V8 at his dealership, an engine typically reserved for the Corvette. The 427 was rated at 425 horsepower and 460 pound-feet of torque, but word has it that the actual output was likely higher, with some estimates suggesting it could produce over 450 horsepower. The engine featured high-performance components including a solid lifter camshaft, forged pistons, and an aluminum intake manifold, all designed to maximize power and reliability. It was mated to a 4-speed manual transmission that enabled the car to finish the quarter mile in 12.59 seconds. Number 1. Chevy Corvette Stingray L88, 9.21 seconds. The 1967 Chevy Corvette Stingray L88 is among the most legendary American muscle cars that was developed specifically for competitive driving rather than everyday use. Zora Arkus Demtov, often referred to as the father of the Corvette, was the chief engineer behind this project, and his vision for the L88 was to forego some creature comforts in favor of raw, unadulterated speed. The heart of the L88 was the 427 V8, which featured aluminum cylinder heads, a high-lift camshaft, an 850 CFM Holley carburetor, and a 12.5 to 1 compression ratio. Chevy officially rated the engine at 430 horsepower and 460 pound-feet of torque, but this was widely known to be an understatement as the actual output was closer to 570 horsepower. This engine was mated to a 3-speed manual transmission that enabled the car to run the quarter mile in a blazing 9.21 seconds. Thanks for watching. Which of these fastest 67 quarter-mile muscle cars is your favorite? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. Also, please subscribe to our channel and don't forget to click the like button and hit the bell icon to be notified when we release new content.